In this video, I'm going to show you how to start oauth2, a microservice OAuth provider. There are 7 microservices consist in this entire OAuth provider, and we can start all of them in Docker Compose. In production deployment, you can deploy it to Kubernetes cluster, or you can deploy to VM to start all of them together. So first thing first, I'm gonna clean up my local Docker images for oauth2. Within the oauth2 repository, there is a script called cleanup.sh. I'm gonna run the cleanup.sh just in case. I have any Docker images related to oauth on my local machine. If you are a brand new user, you can skip this step. After this, I'm going to go to the workspace directory. This is a brand new workspace. What I'm going to do is just follow this tutorial, the OAuth tutorial on netwinty.com. First, we're going to start the services, and then we're going to try the authorization code flow to ensure that all the service is working. Let's get the repository from Docker. We're going to clone this repository to our local. Normally, you should use HTTPS if you don't have a SSH setup. So I'll just use HTTPS for this tutorial. So we're going to clone this this repository. This repository contains Docker Compose file for oauth for all different databases: MariaDB, MySQL, Postgres, Oracle, and MS SQL Server. So let's go to the Docker folder. And you can see within this folder there's so many Docker Compose files, and one of them is Docker Compose oauth2 mysql.yaml. There is a folder called oauth2. Within this folder, we have all the configuration for different databases. So let's just start this Docker Compose. Let's just start it. Because I've already cleaned up all the images on my local computer, so it basically downloads everything from Docker Hub. It will take a couple of minutes. The oauth is designed for microservices. There are a lot of consideration built into the design and the architecture. And it's cloud native. It's very small in terms of memory footprint, and got very high throughput. We can log in user like 60,000 user logins per second when we do the performance test. And because we have multiple services, in most cases, when you are trying to expose your OAuth to external, you only need to expose the authorization code service as well as your token service. And in some cases, you need to expose your key distribution service as well to the outside. All other services like client registration, service registration, refresh token management, all other like internal services, you don't need to expose to outside. It should be accessed internally. In most cases, it will be accessed from the light portal. Now we got all the image there and it's starting up. Yeah, for this tutorial, I'm using MySQL database. You can choose any other databases like Postgres, MariaDB, Microsoft SQL Server, or even Oracle. So those are the official databases we support. If you have other database want to add this, like it will be very easy. You just need to provide a list of configuration files. Now it seems the server is up running, and let's first try to access the server. Once the server starts up, there is a Bootstrap client ID and a Bootstrap admin user. So we can just use that client ID and admin user to do a test. If this is for your official installation, you can use the Bootstrap user and the Bootstrap client to create a new client and new user ID. Then you need to remove those Bootstrap user ID and client, so that and after that you can ensure like your OAuth is secured. But in this Docker Compose, we don't have security enabled. So basically, like we are using OAuth to protect OAuth services. There are two services you don't need to protect, which is authorization service and token service, because they need some special authentication authorization. All other services actually is protected by OAuth itself. So now let's put the URL there. So when you access this authorization code endpoint, because we are using self-signed certificate, it gives you this message. And after that, you can see it asks you your user ID and password. Basically asks your user credential. So let me enter admin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and sign in. So after sign in, you can see we got a redirect to authorization, and the code equal to this is authorization code. Because I don't have any application running on my browser, this actually should be redirect to your backend service, either built with normal web server or built with a light router, or using just like a light SPA4G application. When the backend service receives this authorization code, it can use its own client ID and the client secret to go to the OAuth server to get a token. That token can be a JW token, or in some cases can be just like a by reference token. With that token, you can start accessing the backend services. So this concludes this OAuth startup and authorization code flow. In the next video, I'll probably walk through all other services so that we can get the understanding how to use each individual like microservices in this OAuth provider. Thanks a lot. If you like this, please go to github.com to give a star to this LightOAuth2 repository. Thank you. Bye.